Hey, yo, what up? It's Kevin Lawson with KVLmedia. I'm in the KVLmedia studio. We in the building with
Miss Kitty London. I love it. Starts with a K. We're in cahoots.
Kitty London, Kevin Lawson.
I know.
It was meant to be.
Ooh,
Like,
KLs.
you know, the KLs are in the building
KL
right now.
Media.
You
Oh,
know?
see, you didn't even know that.
Let's do it. Man, so Kitty's been doing her thing. Welcome to the Art of Storytelling podcast live stream. We doing a thing this year, man, and we're gonna make it official and by bringing on some official people. So Miss Kitty London, I appreciate you for
Official.
being official,
Oh, wow.
coming through. Like
I like that word.
I'm interviewing this generation's Oprah for the people that don't actually know right now. So
Listen, from your mouth to God's ears, I
yeah.
appreciate the love and I appreciate the invite because you were on my show,
Yeah.
maybe a couple years ago, but
I still
it's
don't.
full
I don't know.
circle.
I feel like you said you sent me the receipts, but I still feel like I wasn't really on your show.
Oh,
for
you
real.
were, you were official. Listen, anytime you can go back and Google it and screenshot and send, using that word again,
Man,
it's
so
official.
the joke is like I swore up and down that Kitty did not have me on her People of Power show, and she sent me the receipts. I was like, all right, you
Listen,
got it.
facts. Listen, when you work
got
in
it,
media,
you
you
got
got to
it.
know how to keep receipts.
Yeah.
It's very important, people. It's not being petty, but sometimes you have to pull it out in the archives digitally and
You gotta
say,
keep 'em.
this is what happened. But I never forget a face. Like when I used to do makeup, never forget a face.
Hold on, let me tighten this up real quick. Make sure
Okay.
that the audio's popping. You know.
I love the gold though.
Yeah.
That
You
was
like the gold, right?
I love the gold, but
Yeah,
it's
I
okay.
do too. Like I usually keep that for the pictures, but then
I
like,
got
want to
you.
make sure that sounds good and clean and crisp.
All right.
And but yeah, man. So I appreciate you tuning in or stepping in, pulling up to the studio.
Listen, I'm so impressed by you.
Yeah.
You know, you've done so many things from even the time when I interviewed you. I forgot, where you were then, but I know that you've elevated and
Yeah.
you've grown in your craft, and I'm proud of you for not giving up because so many people have done it, and you are still doing it and doing it bigger. So proud of you.
Consistency is key, and people of power. How long is that? How long has that been running?
So we're looking at I think 2017. So we're getting to like
Sheesh.
yeah, it's been a long time. I know I've done at least over 400 interviews. I stopped at 400. I stopped counting. I'm like
Yeah.
I'm just gonna keep it at when people ask me, I'm like 400 interviews, over 400. And we just keep it at that.
I'm pretty sure at this point it must be over 500. Like,
It probably
once
is.
you hit 1,000, we need to have like a party or something. Like,
I don't know how to calculate
How to
that. I mean, because it's like, wow, how do you? But yeah, it's been a lot. It's been
Yeah.
a lot, and every interview I learn something from someone, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Nah, it's dope. And so I've been doing this type of setup since the beginning of December.
Okay.
And I said I was gonna go every day to stay consistent until the end of the year, and I did my 31 days. You know.
Oh, I love it. I love
so-
the title, The Art of Storytelling.
Yeah.
Because we were talking offline about books. No spoiler, but we are going to be authors this year. I'm
Yes,
speaking that
yes,
into
yes.
existence. We
Yes.
definitely still got some more penning to do.
Yeah.
But I believe that everyone has a story in them. Everyone's a book.
Everyone's
if that
a book.
makes sense.
Everyone has a story to
You
tell.
may not be a bestseller, but you
Yeah.
still have a story, and I think people's stories should be told.
Absolutely. So speaking of which, art of storytelling,
Okay, no pun
Kitty.
intended.
Kitty, what's your story?
Oh, my story really is about being resilient and not being denied. I think that's if I had a title for my book, which that's not the title, but anyway, if I had a title about myself, I probably would use that refuse to be denied because so often we are denied,
Yeah.
right? We are denied of people accepting who we are. They want to tell your story or want to create, well, you should do this, especially when you're artsy like us, like, in the world of photography or media.
Everybody got an idea for you.
Or, right.
Yeah.
We start off with parents. Let's start off
Yeah.
with parents. They're usually the first ones. I call them the dream killers, right? They're usually the first ones to say, well, maybe you shouldn't do that. Maybe you should do something that's going to bring in money. Maybe become a doctor or become a lawyer or something in that realm that has consistency when it comes to money. But when you are creative, automatically you have to be defending yourself.
Yeah.
Is this what I want to do? And that's where it is. So that would be my book. Refuse to be denied.
Refuse to be denied, man. That's a word right there. That
I
is
mean,
a word.
how many no's are we going to get in life? More
I
than
don't
we
think,
get
yeah,
yeses.
more than, yeah,
Yeah.
way more, way more. I've heard so many different no's, and it'll be times when you feel like you get so many no's that you want to give up,
Hmm.
but I've gotten used to the no's, you know.
Yeah,
And I think this year is
you hear them
how
so
many
often,
no's can I
right?
get?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
yeah,
You hear
oh
them so
well, we
often.
decided to go with somebody else, or oh, that's
Oh
out of our budget,
yeah.
or oh we
Oh
da 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 da.
gosh.
But oh, and guys, we're live right now.
Hmm.
So shout out to Nicole Denise TV for popping into the stream.
Hello,
Shout out for
hello.
Gameless Nate. A really so Nicole's a really amazing graphic designer. Nate's
Yes.
an amazing sales VP of sales,
Hello, hello.
software sales. So appreciate y'all tuning in. And of course, we're going to be talking about
Yes,
storytelling and
Nicole.
everything like
Yes.
that. So if you have any questions for Miss Kitty London, definitely drop it in the comments. We're gonna post it up here,
Okay.
and we're
Getting
just
used
gonna
to
keep it
this.
as a conversation, you know.
Okay.
So, um, so the art of storytelling. So you told me your story, right? As a storyteller yourself, because I've seen what you've been doing for the past year since 2018, interviewing politicians, entrepreneurs, music people, everything like that. You've had hundreds of conversations and interviews. What's your thought process behind your art of storytelling? Do you have like a thought process or a system that you enter into it?
Yes. So first of all, I tell people it's like unlayering an onion. Like, so, when you go to the grocery store, you see an onion, right? It's all compact in its little shell, but you're not going to eat the onion like that, right?
Yeah.
You're going to go home, you're going to probably peel the onion and you cut the onion, you dissect it. So it's layers to it. And that's how we are as people.
Yeah.
So when people come on my show, I always tell them, tell your story. I want to know not only the glory of, you being successful or your dreams, but I want to know your humble beginnings.
Yeah.
Because I think that transparency blesses other people. We have a lot of people who are watching, and they all come from different backgrounds. And let's just say you might have a person that's sitting in their living room listening to your story who's not feeling the best. Let's say their account is overdrawn. They're not happy at their jobs. They're feeling defeated by life because life is lifing at the time. And I'm watching you, and you're talking about your Bentley and, how you go to the Cayman Islands on your
Yeah.
vacation, and you're doing all this great stuff. And that's fine. I tell people, toot your horn, right? But also bring it back to when you didn't know when your next paycheck was going to come. Or did you feel like, you were not going to be where you are now? Bring it back there and tell us how you got to being on those trips and riding those fancy cars, because that's the story of healing. I want to know when you felt like giving up. I want to know, did you ever get a repo, right? I want to know, did you ever get an eviction notice? Because to me, that's the art of storytelling, right?
Yeah.
Because when you read a book, you have an intro to a book, but then you also have an ending of your book, right? So, within that hour or 30 minutes or whatever time we have, I believe that people should be as transparent as they want to be, because again, that's their business, that's their story. But tell me something that's going to help bless my viewers who may not be able to do what you're doing right now, but you're giving them a sense of hope because you're being transparent and letting us know that, doors have closed on me too, right? I've bounced checks in my past, right? Hoping that this check was going to float over to the next pay period. But these are the things that I did. And so I believe that's the art of storytelling. And one of the things I tell people all the time is, and I told this lady the other day in Dunkin' Donuts, we were talking, she's like, I hope this year is going to be better than last year. And I said, first of all, you take out the word hope.
Take it out.
Right? You take
It
out
is.
the word hope and you put it is going. And she's like, I think, I said, think about where you are right now, where you want to be, and how do you get there? That's the missing puzzle piece to your story.
Yeah. And you know what? Hindsight is 2020, because as I sit here in my studio and I'm like, you know what? I want a building. Like, I want a warehouse with different sets and like 100 different employees and things like that. I think back as you're saying this and remembering the time was like, I wish I had a studio. And then I also hear stories of, you know what? It's easy for you because you got a studio. Not understanding that I used to lug around my equipment in a car that I thought was going to break down at any given moment to bring it to different sets, to set up in different conference rooms and things like that. So it's humbling when you think about how you got to where you were at and then being able to share that story with other people as well. So Yeah, that definitely resonates with me.
And
Yeah.
what you just said, and it hits me too, because when I think about like all the interviews that I've done, I've used my iPad. A lot of them it wasn't high equipment. I mean, yes,
Yeah.
I'm on TV now and things like that, but I mean, humble beginnings, and I still do it. And I think about when people say use what you got to get what you want,
Yeah.
and that is so true, because
Yeah.
a lot of times people discount all the little blessings that they have.
Yeah.
It's like if you utilize that, God is going to give you more.
Yeah.
We got to work with what we have. So
Yeah.
whether that's an Apple iPad and a little we call Shure microphone, and I'm working on the lighting, but I got the job done.
Yeah.
And so I never saw, myself being on TV. People would actually tell me that, and people think, "Oh, you want?" I'm like, that wasn't the goal. The goal for me was to create a space that was safe for people to tell their stories, because I knew, shout out to my news people. I always say I have to say that because I don't want to discount anyone's craft of journalism. People get paid to be on the news, and I get that. But it's such a space that you don't have creative control. People ask me, "Did you ever want to be on the news?" And I would tell them no.
Yeah.
Yes, it looks good that you're backed up by a network and you're on TV every day, but the stories you're telling are someone else's stories.
Yeah.
It may not even something you're interested in, but because I have this paper on my desk, I have to look in that camera and talk about the accident that happened tonight.
Yep.
Right? I'm not talking about the local entrepreneur who is our superhero, doing great things in our community, or talking about the issues that face our community. And if I do, I'm only going to get 2 minutes. I'm not going to get an hour to talk about it. And you really can't tell a story in 2 minutes. So I always said I do not want to work on the news because I don't want to be a puppet to media. And again, that's why I always have to say, shout out to them. That's their job. And some of them love it. But when they retire, they'll tell you later that they're like, whew, that was a lot. Because there are a lot of stories that they want to tell. But because they're ran by a bigger conglomerate, they can't tell those stories. And so where do those stories go? Who tells those stories?
So I think you were going to try and breeze past it because there was a lot of different things. I was like, oh, I want to talk about that. I want to talk about that.
Yeah, that's fine.
But you were going to try and breeze past it. Your TV show.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Tell me about the evolution of going from the People of Power and how that grew, how that started, what was going on in your mind when you first started it, to what it felt like to get the TV show and where you are now. Like, tell me that evolution.
Well,
that
first of all, so everything is like a puzzle piece in life, right?
Yeah.
So I started doing makeup, and it was just something that I wanted to do. I got interested in doing people's faces, and so I was working for Mac. Shout out for Mac, because that's one of my blueprint places. And so I'm looking and I'm seeing these women that come in, and so one of my clients that would always come in to get her face done, she asked me, she said, "Kitty, do you do outside makeup?" And I'm like, no, but I probably can.
Yeah.
She's like, well, I have a bunch of women that we have it was like a gala, and she said, if you could do our makeup. I told them about you, but you would have to come to us because we all can't come to Mac. Yeah, so I was like, okay. So that actually began it, because what happened is I got the exposure to meeting this group of women who were living in these big homes. And I remember I was at the Breakers Hotel, my first time going up to the Breakers. If anyone knows the Breakers, it's very overwhelming. It's a place that looks like a castle. And
it really does.
I mean, they're rich people. I mean, it's
long,
right.
It's
over. It's just like, woo, I've arrived. Even though I'm the help, right? I'm like, well, I arrived.
Yeah.
So I'm doing, right, it is. So I'm doing the makeup, and they had a gala that night, and the husband that came in, he came in with I don't know what they call them. I don't know call them bellhoppers or whatever, but the people that roll the bag, help you with the bags, and it was a bunch of Gucci bags. And
luggage.
Like gifts from Gucci.
Gifts.
Gucci bags, and it was a stack of them. And I was like, and so they were like, oh, these are going to be gifts that we're giving our wives tonight.
These are party favors.
Like party favors, right? And I'm like, wait a minute, right? And so I'm thinking, I'm looking, I'm doing makeup, looking on the ocean view, because this is their room.
It's on the water,
presidential view, right? And these are Black people.
Okay.
So that made it even bigger for me, because I'm like, wow. So
it's relatable.
So I'm looking at, Atlanta Housewives was popping back then, and I'm looking, I'm like, hey, we have our own housewives here.
Yeah, Palm Beach Housewives.
Yeah, the Palm Beach Housewives, right? And then I was going to their homes, and I'm looking, I'm walking, I'm looking at these tall ceilings, and I'm like, I want to know what they do.
Yeah.
And so I started thinking, and I said, you know what would be interesting? I said, I'm aging myself here, but there used to be like the MTV Cribs and Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous.
You aging yourself?
Yeah, I am. It's fine. You can Google that, young people.
Oh my
But
God.
anyway, so
Welcome to my crib.
yeah, welcome to my crib. But I thought about it. I said those shows always highlight the toys because that's what it really did. Mm-hmm. It went into your house and you're seeing the swimming pool, you're seeing the 10 cars, right? Which I'm seeing this, but I'm like, I want to know the story. I want to know what you did, who you are, if you're legal. I mean, of course, you don't mind talking about it. Right. But I wanted to mix that in, and I said I want to do a show like that, and I said I want to call it the People Power. Mm-hmm. So that's how it kind of started. So I had a guy that one of my friends, he wanted to help me to be my camera person. Mm-hmm. And so we were like, fine. We started thinking about it, brainstorming, and something happened with him. I don't know what it was at the time, but kind of like ghosted me, which was fine. It was divine. Yeah. So I got an opportunity to be on radio. And shout out to Beware, who gave me an opportunity to be on radio, 107.1. So I was one of the traffic jam girls. Okay. Me and Shara, so shout out to her. And so, when I got there, I didn't immediately come up with ideas. I kind of was like in my space, learning radio and being a personality. So about 2 months in, I was like, hey, I have a show idea. We're community radio. So how about having people come and we interview them, like people of power, people who are influential entrepreneurs. And so he said so we did it, and something happened with the radio station and it shut down, and I was kind of hurt because I was like, I had people lined up to be on my show, right? My show, which was on the radio at the time. And I talked to one of my guests and I said, hey, and this is about being transparent with people. I was like, hey, I'm not on radio anymore. I said, I understand if you don't want to do the interview, because that was like my push. I'm like, I'm on radio. Right? Yeah. Who's going to deny a show on radio? Exactly. Right? Like, you all these viewers. And I said, I just have my iPad. I said, but if you're open, I could come to your house. And I heard silence. She said, come on. Yeah. And so that was the beginning. Adrienne Safantes, I will never forget her. I always will tell her that she was she proved the story right, that it was supposed to happen that way. And so she invited me to her house, and she had one of those beautiful homes too. Like, whoo, girl, how did you do it? And that's when People Power started. So I was like, I'm going into these people's homes, I'm going to offices, and we're going to talk about your story. And I want to know, how did you feel, when you got your first, I was talking to people who got their first $1 million. I'm like, goals.
Tell me how.
How? Yeah. And so one of my favorite, and I hate to use that word favorite because again.
So real quick, actually, the funny thing is, Adrienne was one of my first headshots in Palm Beach. Wow. Yeah. So when I moved back, Adrienne was one of my first headshots. Okay, so I think I shot her in a conference room downtown. Nice. Yeah. So small world. I had the studio and everything like that. Yeah.
Small world. Yeah, I know she moved, but she was the one that said and I always tell people, it only takes that one yes. Yeah. The one yes, you can get 100 no's, but that one yes can change the trajectory of your brand and everything else. Yeah. And so when I sat down with Willie Gary, which a lot of people hopefully should know him. Yeah, I did him in his office. As far as interviewing him, I know it didn't sound right, but I interviewed him. Interviewed him in his office, and it was his first live. He never did Facebook Live. I mean, he's been on so many big platforms.
He dropped his movie. Last year or the year before?
It was last year. Yeah, The Burial. And that was part of his story. It wasn't like his movie, but he was a major part of it. And so listening to him, Kevin, he was the epitome of the people of power for me. I mean, he was like, I went to picking cotton to now just picking peas on my plate. He went to not being able to write a $10 check for an admission in college to writing a $10 million check to his alma mater. Like, crazy. Like, he worked in the hotel room washing dishes that was now his law firm hotel. And so when I hear stories like that made me know that this is what I needed to do. So fast forward to the 400 interviews, keeping my name out there. I started doing media for Children's Services Council. Shout out to them. I've been doing media with them for the last 5 years, but it's just about the consistency of not giving up, doing shows when I felt like my view count wasn't up, doing topics that I felt like would be positive more than negative, because we all know negativity sells, drama sells, right? So keeping my brand, because I remember I had a talk with someone and I said, gosh, I said, man, if I was cursing back in the day like I used to, and was talking about baby mama drama, and I was like, man, I have 10,000 views, and somebody said, you're probably right, but who are you attracting? Who do you want to attract at the end of the day? Who is your ideal client? If your ideal client are corporations and people that you've been interviewing, you're not going to do that, because the first thing someone's going to go is to your page and see what type of product you're promoting. And I said, you're right. They said, don't worry about it. The views are going to come, and the right people you'll attract. And I promise you, Kevin, those same people who I was like looking at their shows and they're getting views, they're not even doing it anymore.
They're not doing it.
They're not even doing it anymore. So that's a lesson in that. Just stay true to who you are. And when you stay true to who you are, you will attract the right people along the way. And I just kept my name out there. So going to the TV show, I was looking for a job, and everything happens purposely. It was right before the pandemic, and I was going back to school. Shout out to my job, Comcast, for paying for my education. I got my master's in organizational management, and my bachelor's in mass communications and journalism, because I wanted to kind of step it up a little bit. I'm like, anybody can get in front of a camera, and talk about a story, but I really wanted to get into the real world of journalism and media. So I felt like not even being certified, with a degree, but it helped me along the way become more disciplined, because we were talking about offline, the writing, and the deadlines. And things that you have to be.
You got to do the reports, and you got to
study
for the tests,
and you also have to be accountable. Like when you're telling a story, whatever you put on this app and you're putting it out there to the world, there's some accountability for you and your brand. And if you're not really understanding that, you'll just put out anything. Right. So I had to study the art of journalism, and I was looking for a job, and I remember going to the film commission. I actually had a mentor at Comcast, and she was telling me, she's like, you need to get with your local film commission. What do you want to be? And I really didn't know, Kevin, because I was like, I don't know if I want to still do music. I don't know if I want to, be a creator. I don't know if I want to be behind the scenes. I just was all over the place. And I said, sometimes when you have too much talent, it could be a kind of a curse too, because you're all over the place. And I didn't really know how to define myself. And I talked to someone at MSNBC, and I'll never forget him. And I just thank you for defining me, because I'm like, when people ask, who are you? What do you say? I'm like, I don't know. I do this. And he said, you're a multimedia creator. And when he gave me that title, I'm like, oh my God, thank you. Because I couldn't define me. Because I felt like I had so much going on. So bringing it back to that, I wanted to start a show it was called the People of Power Pop Star Edition. And what that was, I wanted to go, my territory originally was South Florida. And I wanted to go into hotels that we would not normally be at, right? The 5-star hotels. I wanted to go to restaurants. I wanted to go on yachts. And I wanted to kind of go into worlds that you would not normally see a black woman going into. But I wanted to expose people to that lifestyle, because if you believe it, you can achieve it. If you surround yourself around it enough, and you get exposed to that lifestyle. So I called it People of Power, the Pop Star Edition. So I wanted to interview 5-star chefs and all that. And so guess what happened? COVID, the pandemic hit.
Shut down.
So I had a sizzle reel already for the show. So it was like God was preparing me. I felt bad because everything kind of shut down. So you couldn't do anything. I actually had to transition my show to virtual. So thank you, Zoom. So you actually
started recording for the Pop Star.
Yes.
Okay.
So like I said, I had the sizzle reel, whatever. And so I didn't do any. I let it stay for 3 years. Didn't do anything. What was it? 20? We're done 25. Yeah. So the end of 22. So I had someone tell me, it's like, you need to meet with your local film commission. They do things. And I'm like, I don't know anyone at the film commission. Don't know anyone there. But because I was telling people I was looking for a job, someone said, the local film commission is hiring.
Really?
And so I was like, okay. So I went on an interview. And shout out to one of my angels. I call her too. I have people along the way who's on my blueprint. Her name is Penelope. You ever had an interviewer tell you, at the end of the interview, even though you're good, this might not be a right fit? And it wasn't because the qualification, it was because I was still in school. I didn't want to owe Comcast any money, right? I'm still in school, and I'm like, she was like, yeah, this may not. She said, but what else do you like to do? And I said, well, I like to record, and I like to be in front of the camera sometimes, and I had an idea, and I had it in my phone.
Yeah.
And so I showed her. She said, can you share this? I said, yeah, fine. So I sent her the link, and she said, I'll be right back. And so I sat in this room, and I'm like, ooh, what does that mean? So I came back. She's like, I want you to meet someone. I'm like, okay. So I met, shout out to Michelle Hillary, who is now the film commissioner. Okay. She said, what are you doing with this? She said, this is good. I'm like, nothing. You know, the pandemic hit. I can't do too much. She said, well, if you could scale it down to Palm Beach County, she said, you know, we have some opportunities that we help sponsor producers.
Oh, cool. Because initially you wanted to do South Florida, so she wanted you to focus on Palm Beach County.
Yeah, because they would only be able to sponsor the Palm Beach County version of tourism.
Got it.
And she said, so I laughed because I'm like, you know, I'm coming from a world where people always are asking for more.
Yeah.
You know, less. But she was like, you scale it down to Palm Beach County. Yeah. And I'm like, I think I can.
I think I can.
You know, and so it that's how it happened. And she's like, well, you'll own your show, and you know, we do sponsor some of it, and you know, it'll get you to where you need to be. And so that's the history of how my TV show started. You have any questions?
So we getting some vibration in the audio. I'm not sure what's going on, but I appreciate you guys for letting us know.
There's a vibration in the audio?
Yeah, so they say there's a humming coming from the mic, and then there's a vibration in the audio. I'm not sure exactly what that means or how to fix that, but I appreciate y'all for letting me know.
Okay. Yeah.
And
nothing. We're not touching anything. Is it still happening?
I don't know.
Which mic is it humming from?
That's
good when you have people to tell you, right?
Yeah, we got people on here supporting and stuff like that.
Is it still humming?
Let's tone it down just a slight smidgen.
Testing.
All right.
And whose mic is it? Is it my mic or yours? Did they say?
They didn't say. Yeah.
Okay.
No, I'm not sure. It might just be coming from. Hopefully that fixed it. I just turned down the mic's gain a little bit, so hopefully that's fixing it a little bit.
Okay. Well, hopefully your people will let us know. Hey.
Yeah. Get you on here.
Okay.
All good. Kev, you're oversaturated a little bit. Appreciate that. You know, my people just come through and just get me right. You know, hold on. Let me.
Also, not even that. Like, they use the words that you know. Like, oversaturated. Yeah. That has to be a photographer or someone in cinematography who knows how to use that word.
I've known Corey for years, man. Okay, so this audio sounds good. All good. Kev, you're oversaturated a little bit.
Okay.
Oh, you know what? I think I did have a no good.
No, see, no good now. Okay.
I think we're good.
So I'm not sure what happened. Hopefully we didn't sound too horrible. But, you know, this is something, too, that a lot of people don't understand. Is like, things happen. Yeah. And you have to learn how to navigate. Like, I've been on shows, and thank God, not the TV show. I'm going to cross my fingers, knock on wood. Hopefully it never happens. But I've been interviewing people, and we've had, sound issues. People have gotten knocked off the internet. Yep. One time, I was sick as a dog, and I was, like, holding in this cough that I felt like I was about to choke. And I see it, like, you know, when you look at those big networks, I won't name any of them. When you look at those big networks, and they have technical problems, you're like, I'm not doing so bad, because it happens. Yeah. But then how do you navigate? You can't freak out. You can't have them break down, and you just got to keep it moving.
Yeah. I think I started, I was in some plays ever since like elementary school, and I did it here and there in like middle school, high school, and everything like that. And one of the things that the coaches always said, it was like, just act like it didn't happen and keep going. Don't stop. Don't do anything. Just keep going.
Just keep going.
You fall, just keep going. Yeah. You break a leg, keep going. Yeah. As long as you can stand it. So I think that's one of those things. And that's why even now, like, I'm getting all these problems and things like that. The beauty is that we're live. It's worse if, like, I'm in front of a client or something like that, then I start really sweating. But they would never know, because I'm just going to keep as calm as possible, navigate how to fix it, figure it out, because there hasn't been one situation of production that everything went perfectly right.
No, and when you're live, you only get one take. I mean, you're live.
Yeah.
So if it's pre-production, let's say you have your, your
You can run
sound
through the
guy
tests and
saying,
everything like
"Hey,
that,
your mic is not working," blah blah blah. That type of thing. You're good. But if you're if you're live, it is what you get. What you get. You get what you get, and hopefully it comes out to be great. But are you still?
So we say, Tiff says, shout out to Michelle. Who's Michelle? I don't know who Michelle is. Do you know who Michelle is?
Test of professionalism, yes.
Yeah.
Dance with Julie
said test of
oh my gosh.
Test of professionalism.
It definitely is. And it's a test of...
Oh, Michelle is at the Film Commission.
Oh, okay.
Is that who were we talking about? Film
yes.
Commission? Okay, Michelle. That's her name?
Also, shout out to Michelle. Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yo, so Tiff.
Yes.
Yeah, man. So
I mean, and Michelle and... Whew, a lot. Let me just tell you, AJ, Brianna,
Nico be hopping in. Shout out from Finland. We got viewers all the way in Finland.
Yes, I love it.
Nico pops in. What's up, Nico?
I love
Appreciate
it.
you stopping in and helping me with the, let me know the audio stuff like that.
Yes. Also, is dialogue. Let me see.
Also, this dialogue is so good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So hopefully you can hear the dialogue. But so, I did not realize. Also, is putting yourself in rooms that you're normally not in is so important when you're trying to navigate through spaces.
How do you get comfortable in those spaces? Like, what do you do? Because we just talked about like making sure that we don't let them see us sweat. So even though we're live and things aren't going good, those rooms where you might not be used to getting into them or even be comfortable in those situations, because I've been in a lot of those rooms. Tell me, what's your mindset going into those rooms? How do you settle your nerves, or even are you nervous at all?
No, I'm not nervous. Usually I'm more excited than anything because I realize that if I meet 10 people this week who don't know who I am, now I have 10 more people who do know who I am, if that makes sense.
Facts.
If I go in a room and everyone knows my name,
you're in the wrong room.
I'm in the wrong room.
Yeah.
I'm in the wrong room.
Yeah.
So I look at it to say that if you're intentional about building your brand and growing your brand, you can't grow with the same soil. You have to go to other places. And so if 10 more people know my name, then that's another 10 that I'll be like, okay, check. Yeah. Now I'm in another room with 10 more people who don't know my name. So at the end of the day, I'm counting up all those people who were once strangers. Now my brand has grown because now I've made an impact in their lives where they can go and tell their people, you ever heard of Lundan? You ever heard of what's Poppin' PBC? Because my intention is to grow my brand. And so now me being, and I'll say this, and I love to say it because I still can't believe it, but one, I made history, in Palm Beach County as being the first African-American film producer to produce a show for Palm Beach County, which is televised.
So cool.
And so I have to say that because I have to keep reminding myself of who I am. And I don't say it to be, I don't like to say arrogant, so to speak, but I promise you, if you don't tell people what you do and who you are, no one else will. You cannot rely on people to be your PR person, unless you're paying them, right? But if you're not paying them and you're not saying, I'm Kevin Lawson and I do this, either someone's going to forget or they're not going to know. But you got to keep reminding people.
Speaking of which,
yes.
Short commercial break. If you haven't already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button on our YouTube. Go ahead and hit the subscribe, hit that bell for notifications for more conversations like this. I'm loving this conversation. So, not to cut you off, but I just want to drop that little commercial break. And if you know anybody that likes these type of dialogues, if you like this setup, definitely subscribe, because that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to build up the brand, expand what we got going on, and take it to another level. But yes, so getting into different rooms, expanding your brand,
doing your own research. That's big, because I didn't know about the Davie Awards, and I didn't know about the Telly Awards and the Webby Awards. We normally look at the big awards. Like, I want to have an Emmy. That's one of my. I
remember sitting down.
Yeah,
we were outside. We were outside at I forgot what event it was.
But
it was at Meyer Amphitheater.
Yeah, it was for the Juneteenth event.
Juneteenth event. Yeah.
So we were at the time talking about different awards and goals.
Yeah.
And so at that time, I was not a Telly or Davy Award winner. That was on the to-do list too, because those are kind of like on the lower scale. I mean, there's still awards, and I mean, you're still voted amongst peers.
You're still an
in
award-winning producer,
and LA, and these people are not from here.
Right.
Which I love it, because to me, a lot of things are subjective, and it's not about the cliques that you're in, and it's not about the sororities and the fraternities you're in, and you know who doesn't like you and who likes you. These people are judging work from a person that they don't know about. So I feel like that's an even platform for me.
Yeah.
You know, waiting on the local accolades, you might die waiting on those. No, I'm being funny. I'm not being funny.
I know you're serious, and it's sad.
And it's sad because a lot of times people are celebrated when they're dead. If they're celebrated, they get a street name after them. They get a proclamation. They can't read it. They can't drive down that street. So I don't know why we as people wait till people die to celebrate them. So it's like, now you got to look at other territories. And I always tell people, and I was feeling down because I come from a area when I used to rap, it's called local love, and people always just say that, and it's like the local love is not really there.
It doesn't hit until people from outside celebrate you, and then they're like, oh, I knew she was gonna make it,
right?
Or I knew he was gonna make it.
So these awards that I didn't get, or feel like I got snubbed, or didn't get the accolades from local people, I'm like, you know, God, you have a real way of showing you know, who you are and your promise to me, because the award is not always where you think it's going to be.
Right.
So that's why it's so important not to give up and to get outside of the circle.
Yeah.
Because if you're not outside of your circle, you really don't go anywhere. And when you have a global product, you have to look at, you have a global territory. So it's not about just you and your, you know, your family liking you, your friends on Facebook, and how many people are sharing you. It's like, I'm global.
Yeah.
I have a global product.
Yeah.
You know, so those are the things that I've learned along the way. And yes, I still want my Emmy, right?
Yeah.
But I'm happy with my debut, my Telly, because those are certified awards. And so I'm going in my third season now. And I can't believe that. I'm like, third season already.
Third season.
Going in my third season. You know, we're on 2 networks. So we air on the Broward and Miami and the CW network. And then we re-air on Fox South Florida Daily. We're in, like, they call it now, 5,000 hotel rooms, because we air in the Breakers. We air in PJ National. And then, you know, some of the channels. So one of the biggest things for me is I always want to be bigger and better than the previous year. Or the previous season. What can I do to scale up? So right now I'm starting looking at national distribution. But also looking into doing another show called My Homeboys, because that's the goal. I said I want to have 2.
I'm a part of that group.
I want to have 2 shows on, you know, rotation at the same time.
Nice.
So this show here is definitely well, actually global, because I mean, you could be in Brazil and you have a toilet, you have a kitchen. So I'm talking about things that are on a global scale. So that's one of the goals. And then the book. I got to get the book done.
Okay, so we're hubbing. Don't clap for me once I'm dead. No, that is straight facts.
Yes.
You know, give me the flowers from now. Because I need those. I need to smell them, you know?
No, you got to.
Mike is humming on YouTube now. I don't know. If we got any tech people, tech support, holla at KVL Media, man.
Moved or anything.
Yeah, we haven't touched anything, but hopefully we can get it right. But yeah, so global presence is the goal, right? So is that, what would you say? Is that your couple year plan? Like, where do you see yourself in 5 years, 10 years?
Okay, let's knock it down to 5. I'm not a 10-year planner.
Yeah.
You know, we are.
Or even, have you set any New Year's resolutions?
No. So the book is definitely, and really, I don't even go 5 years out. I think 5 years is too long. Depending on what you're trying to do now. I mean, Rome wasn't built in a day, but I think 5 years, I think, for me, I like the fire. I'm a procrastinator by nature,
me too.
Unfortunately. And so it's kind of sad, because if you give me 5 years to do something, I'm going to probably take those 5 years to do it. So I like to scale it in. You know, I'm a 90-day person now.
Ooh.
Yeah. I'm telling you, I have to put the fire on me.
Every quarter.
Listen, I started the book 2 days ago.
Yeah.
Penning the book 2 days ago.
Yeah.
I've given myself by like April, because I was like, oh, maybe I'll launch it on my birthday. So my birthday's in July, so you're looking at like 7 months.
Okay.
But I gave myself 90 days to finish the book.
Nice.
Finish it. Like, sent.
Complete.
Complete.
Sent to print.
Because I've been doing research, Kevin, and I've been hearing people tell me different things. I've reached out to certain authors, and I've asked them, how long did it take you to do it? How long did it take you to do it? And I know, I get it. It's different. Every book is different. Every book. Sometimes, like, I was Steven Spielberg. It was a book, what was the It book? They said it took him like 5 years.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know whether that was 5 years because he just... What are you hearing, humming again?
Yeah.
The mic is... I think your mic...
I think it's your mic. Is it connected properly?
Oh.
I'm not sure. But,
yeah, I don't know. Hopefully.
Yeah. So,
but, I mean, I don't know if that's because... And we do get... we do creative crunches sometimes.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is, but I would hate to sit on a book for 5 years. Like, knowing I started it.
So I've been sitting on this outline for the idea blueprints for... I don't even want to admit it. But, now I know I'm gonna knock it out. Like
you have to. You got to get.
I want to send it to print by the end of the month. Yeah, I'm gonna send it to print by the end of the month.
Okay.
Yeah, so
now
it's going
perfect.
now. Perfect.
Okay. I don't know what you did. I don't know.
I just tweaked a little something here and there, and
so
I just won't touch nothing.
I heard from people who actually are money people. When I say money people, meaning they have different sources of income, right? Yeah. Someone said you need to have a podcast, you need to write a book. These are like certain ways of income, but I do know being an author is real important. I'll tell you why. One of the key things, because if you're like me, a person who's not afraid of speaking in front of people, you can get a lot of speaking engagements being an author. Mm-hmm. Or being a TV personality. You got to do something. You got to have some type of title because it shows that you're an expert in some type of field, right? Yep. And I noticed that a lot of authors, they'll be keynote speakers. Mm-hmm. And at the end, they'll sell their books.
Yep.
Right? Because people have been intrigued into what they're saying in their soul. So at the end of that event, now they're selling their books. Yeah. So you have something that people can purchase on hand. So that was one of the things that I never did. Said, what do you have? What product do you have that people can actually purchase? Right. And I'm like, you can't purchase. I mean, they can subscribe to your podcast. Yeah. But it's not anything that they can purchase. So I thought about it. I'm like, good God, I don't have anything. Yeah. I was like, I gotta write this book.
And people want to support. Like, they want to know what they can spend money on. So having your book and having it for sale,
right.
They'll support. Yeah.
So that's the goal. So 90 days. I gotta put it out there to the atmosphere because then I feel like I'm accountable to meet that deadline. Yeah. And I tell viewers, if you are sitting on something, why? Yeah. What's the reason? Yeah. And I was looking at Marlon. You know Marlon Wayne, right?
Yeah, of course.
So I didn't know he ages gracefully, but he said something that was so profound. It kind of scared me in a way. Mm-hmm. But he said. I think he said, like, I'm 51. Don't quote me, but I'm just giving an example. He's like, I'm 51 years old. He said, if I live to see another 50 years, and more than likely I probably won't, but let's just say he'll be 100. But he said, I'm looking at those numbers as I have less time ahead of me than I have behind me. And so I was like, oh, it was like, it put me in a chokehold. Because I'm like, as every day that goes by, we get closer to that final day. We don't know when that day is. Mm-hmm. But every day that goes by, we get closer to that final day. What are we doing to keep our legacy going? What are we doing to say, you know what, I got this one life to get it right. Yeah. Let me go ahead. What's holding you back from doing what you're supposed to be doing?
And, not to make it worse, but the older we get, the slower we get. So we actually have even less time than those first half. Mm-hmm. Because once we reach a certain age, everything starts slowing down. Mm-hmm. We don't have the same energy that we did before. So you're absolutely right. And it's like, when I say, like, by the end of this month, hold me accountable, guys. I'm gonna try and make. No, I'm not gonna try and make it work. I'm gonna knock it out.
And so
After this conversation, I'm gonna go back to
listen,
writing.
so with doing that, there come sacrifices.
Yeah.
And, you know, I know we're getting close to ending, but I tell people this. We may not all have the same bank account. We may not all have the same humble beginnings. Some of us have been blessed to be in, you know, two-parent homes, and hopefully those two parents were great, because you can be in two-parent homes and it still sucks. But I just say that a lot of us may not have those great silver spoons that, you know, some people have.
Yeah.
But what we do have that nobody can say, well, you got this and I got this, is we all have 24 hours, right? We all have the same 24 hours. And so I even, as much as I do, right, I still find myself scrolling and wasting time looking at Facebook and looking at social media. And what you start doing is you start getting sucked up into people's lives and what they're doing, and then you start doing your own comparisons, you know, whatever. So I tell people, you know, and I'm not saying don't be on social media, because sometimes you have to be. I'm on social media, you know.
Absolutely.
But sometimes you can post and ghost.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to be in everyone's world when you're on social media. But if you're writing a book, all that time that you're spending on socializing and doing other stuff, or being in the club and being in these places, if you hone in on your craft, one, your life is going to get better.
Yep.
Because you're more than likely going to probably make more money, right? You're going to fulfill your dreams.
Yep.
And then those things that you want to do, you go back to those, but then you've met your goals. You shouldn't get rewarded for doing nothing.
For doing nothing. Stop celebrating doing nothing. Stop popping bottles for
nothing.
for nothing.
Pop bottles when you become a bestseller.
Yeah.
Right? Pop bottles when you have your grand opening of your business. Or when you become, you know, you got an award or whatever, right? So don't reward bad behavior, and that's what we do. We reward our own bad behavior. We're not doing anything.
Yeah.
But yet and still, like you said, we're celebrating like we're rock stars. For what? To take pictures and make people jealous of something that we don't have?
Yeah.
So take some of that time, and that's a resolution that I probably would say, is to maximize your time.
Yeah.
Maximize the time that we have, and, you know, if it's not, what is your return on investment? And that's why I'm not everywhere. People are like, you're. I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm not everywhere. Because if I go to an event, the first thing I'm like, what am I gonna get out of the event besides buying an outfit, seeing the people that I still see all the time, eating some nasty food, probably. I mean, you know, those $250 tickets usually are not worth it.
Yeah, nah.
But all that, so I'm like, that
food.
$250 I could probably be putting on my book that I don't have yet.
Yeah.
So
that time, money, effort, attention. Yeah, I mean, that's a word. That's a lot. Yeah. But locking in on that book, spending your time wisely.
Yes.
Because there's an opportunity cost to everything.
It is.
And making sure that we're celebrating when we win, celebrating our wins, but even celebrating our small wins. So even if, like, it might not be a bestseller, or you might still be working towards becoming a bestseller, but finishing your first chapter.
They're all wins.
Celebrate it. It's all wins.
I'm in 14,000 words right now.
Yeah. I think I'm at, I don't remember. I think it's like 8,500, something like that.
Yeah.
But I gotta lock in, flesh it out. I'm gonna knock this out. There's so many tools that are available to kind of help through the process.
It is. It's kind of like
we don't have any excuses.
I was going to say. Yeah. It's kind of like we are in the era now of no excuses anymore. Yeah. It's a no excuse type thing. You're your biggest enemy, and you know you can't blame other people for not fumbling because a lot of times people get jealous of people, but it's like, see, when you were asleep, they were awake. When you were out partying, they were in their room locked in to whatever they're doing. They're going to school. You know, I tell people, never stop learning. That's another thing. Please never stop learning. Don't feel like you've arrived and that you're the best at your craft, because I promise you will meet someone who's better. Yeah. You got to keep, like I said, navigating through these spaces of learning new cameras, new microphones, you know, in your space. But everybody else has a different space. Yeah. But you got to keep yourself innovative.
And stay true
and marketable.
And that's what we're working on. That's why we're doing the live streams now. And we're working on a couple different projects with the book and things like that. But it's one of those things I think that I would leave with anybody, and that I thank you for reminding me as well, is continue to stay consistent. Continue to be creative and be innovative, and I think most importantly, be authentic to where you want to be and what you want to do and what you want to accomplish. What would you say to somebody? What would you say to the Kitty Lundan of 10 years ago, that may or may not have known where she would be at now? What would you say to her? Because we always know, like, if I knew then what I knew now, what is that story that you would have told?
I would have probably said, well, one of the biggest things is that everyone's not your friend, and I know you hear that a lot. But I mean, when I say that, I mean it into where everyone doesn't have your best interest. Even people who sometimes disguise themselves as mentors. It's very scary, learning discernment, knowing that people will tell you that, hey, we'll get together on Monday, we'll make it happen, and you'll never hear from them again. And so how do you navigate through those spaces of feeling that people have let you down when you feel like you needed them, going by people's titles and their validations and needing the yes, and half of those people are not even in those positions a year later. And so what I've learned is to, again, you need people. You do need people, right? But there's certain things that you have to rely on self for. And one of those things is I tell people, do your own research, educate yourself. Don't allow people to control your destiny, because a lot of times we rely on people that we feel that are the key to our success, and they're gatekeepers. And a lot of those people are in disguise that they really are not going to show you the new way or the next way because you're competition, and you don't see it that way because you're naive and you're thinking, oh my gosh, these people love me and they're going to help me, and they're not going to do anything but keep you in that same spot that you're in, and that's the needing them and wanting them. And so I've learned that I wish I would have known that 10 years ago not to rely on people just based on titles, and knowing that I had my own superpowers. I just had to tap into them.
Facts.
Because we have our own superpowers. And I'm not saying that you don't need people to help you along the way, but it's the right people. The Michelles and the people that I mentioned along the way, the Keisha Boyds, and those are people who I didn't even know. These are strangers. These are not people who I thought would become my mentors and become the people that are going to put me in position to excel. And always be ready. That's one of the things, to always be ready. We talk a good game, but when someone says, well, where's your product? You don't have it yet.
Yeah.
So you mean you've done all that talking and now you're not even prepared? So when people say if you stay ready, you never have to get ready.
Never have to get
That's
ready.
the biggest thing that I learned, because again, going back to, if I had not had that scissor reel that I put on ice.
And you just were thinking about it.
Right? Just say that. I didn't have it.
Yeah.
You kind of do stuff in preparation for where you want to go, not where you are, but where you want to be. So when you're doing content, you can have that's what they call a library. You may not even use it right now, but I promise you, you're doing it for a reason. You don't know why.
Yep.
But when someone says, if I call myself this, and I go to your page and you don't even represent that, you should always represent who you say you are. And people shouldn't have to dig and do research to find it. It should be readily available when they go on your page.
Ready to find it.
You should represent what you call yourself.
Yeah.
And so 10 years ago, I would tell myself to always be ready. Don't rely on other people, and you're the captain of your own ship. And I think I would have been a lot further, but this was my journey. It was my journey to do this at my age and start now. And 10 years ago, maybe God said, you're not ready. Maybe you wouldn't be able to handle what you're going through right now. And maybe it was meant for you to go through what you went through and how you went through it, so you can bless someone else and maybe save them from the woes of life and shortcuts. Like I tell my younger people, my sons, I'm like, listen, don't be a me. This is what. Don't stay at a job longer than 2 or 3 years if that's not your career, because what will happen is a job will suck you dry, right, and only pay you a fraction of the cost of what you're worth. And if you stay in that position for too long, you're gonna be outskilled and underpaid.
I love it.
So those are the things. But how do we get to know that? We have to go through it, right? Yeah. Unfortunately, we have to go through that. And that's just a lesson. So going back to now, going to 2025, we're in the second day of the year.
Second day.
Right? I tell
We're
people,
in it.
listen, we're in it. So what do you want this year to look like? Regardless of who's running the country, you run your household, you run your whatever you can control. How are you controlling it? What do you want to see the outcome for your year? And do the things that's necessary for it to make it happen. And if you don't know, ask people. I always tell people, ask people, because asking people, that pride, take it to the side, and sometimes you'll save yourself money just by asking someone.
And that's amazing that you said that, because I want to start a tradition of asking this final question, right? And what I want to do is I want to have somebody ask a question of the next guest of what's the one thing, the one key to storytelling that they want to know for themselves. So, Kitty Lundan, what question would you ask the next guest about storytelling that you want to know for yourself?
The next question I would ask, from all the things that you went through to develop your story, what is the one thing that you would change, if you could change, and why?
What is the one thing that you would change, if you could change?
And why?
And why? Miss Kitty Lundan, I appreciate you for
Thank you, Mr.
coming
Lawson.
on to the art of storytelling, sharing your story and your insights. Any last words?
No. I try.
No.
I try to. I have to start saying, because I say that a lot of times too. And I say, any final words? And I thought about it, I was like, final is such a bad F word. Right? Final. It doesn't bring life. It brings, death, finality. So even with last words, right? Your last words, like before you go into the death chamber, your last words.
before they
I gotta think of those life, those
speaking life into it.
So
anything that you want to leave the people with.
Yes.
Anything that you want to leave the people with after
I just tell
after you just changed my whole perspective on. I'm not going to ask that one again.
Our last words. So I just want to thank everyone for joining us through all the technical problems. If we didn't hear any, but I'm glad that you all were ambassadors of the of the.
I got my people wear. Yeah, keep me great again.
Tribe,
yeah,
right. Keep Kevin Lawson, great tribe.
Yeah.
I would just tell I want to sound like Les Brown, but I like to hear him say, "You have power within you. You have greatness within you." But it's true. You got to tap into that, and just be accountable for you. You can't be everyone's savior. You can't save everyone. You can only do what you can do, but get on those goals, knock them out. Whether you move in silence or move like a freight train. I always tell people say, we don't tell people what you're doing, and I think it's a little bit of both.
It's a balance.
It's a balance because
you got to keep them wanting more, but you got to let them know, because that's how you attract it.
What do you call prophets?
Yeah,
prophets tell things.
They tell things. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Right, so going back to the Bible about that, I get it. What people say, and they say that people can talk, speak about bad mouthing. But I think what God has for you, and it's gonna happen.
Yeah, it's for you.
So just stop hesitating. Yeah. Stop procrastinating. We're speaking to us now too.
Yeah, facts.
Let's just do it.
Let's get this book done.
Get it done. Yes, I got 90 days. Now you said 30, so I'm gonna hold you.
Hold on. I got because what's January go through? The 31st? Yeah, till the end of January. I got 30 days. 29 and a half at this point.
Okay. So you basically have to be strategic with dedicating every day or hour or block some time to write. Mm-hmm.
And they going to get what they get. They going to get what they get. But it's going to be done. Yeah. I'm not sure how long the book is, because we were talking about that a little bit earlier, whether it's going to be 50 pages, 100 pages, whatever. But I want to give enough without trying too hard to fill in.
And that's why I said the
Worthless
research is so
information.
important.
Yeah.
So what you do is you research. I will always say, what's the minimum book?
Yeah.
What's the minimum book
Yeah.
that Amazon will accept? How
Yeah.
many pages? Is it 50? Is it 60? Right? I don't want to give them the minimum, but I want to
Yeah.
give, I'm not doing a
Yeah.
300 pager. I'm
Nah,
like 100, 80, 100,
Yeah.
starter.
I could.
I'm good.
I could definitely do like a 100-page book. We'll see. I'm working on it.
Yeah,
So
see.
we
Well,
got a
you
couple
got it.
different sections, man. So
Well, do it. You got.
Yeah.
We're gonna hold
So
Tim
we'll flesh it
accountable,
out.
y'all.
Yeah.
We're gonna hold Tim accountable. I need you to hold me accountable, but
Yeah.
I'm gonna get it done. I got to. 90 days is my. And if I get it done in 45, I've actually cut my goal in half, which is
Yeah.
always great.
Yeah. So yeah, because even like how you're saying, the procrastinator in me would wait until the end. So I'm gonna try not to do that, and like you said, break it down into daily goals of let me do 10 pages a day, or let me do whatever I can.
Right.
Because 10 pages a day, that's 30 days, 300. Yeah, nah, not that many. But you know what I'm saying.
Well, when I was, I know we got to go, but I'll just
Yeah.
give an example. When I went for my master's, and I remember to have 13 pages to me was huge. That was a huge paper, because again, you have to do your research, your site work, and all that. And I procrastinated.
Yeah.
Oh, God. But I promise you, I think I was so scared to fail. Right.
Yeah.
I wrote 9 pages in a couple of hours.
Done it.
So it can be done.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't like to work like that,
Yeah.
honestly. But the thing about it, sometimes you have to create those scare tactics to get up and do it. Because if, like you said, if you're like, oh, I got time.
I got time. Yeah.
We'll be talking about this in 2026. You'll be like,
Yeah.
Kevin, you never wrote that book.
No, I never wrote the book.
Man, no. You know what happened was, we can't do that.
Well, I think that's what school does. Is it?
The discipline.
If you don't finish, you're gonna fail.
It's a discipline.
I don't want to fail.
It's a discipline.
Yeah.
I graduated honors in my
Yeah.
master's. I
Yeah.
did better in my master's than I did in my bachelor's.
That's good. Yeah.
And that was all papers. It was all research.
Yeah.
But I realized it unlocked a part of my brain that it was sleep, because again, social media dumbs us down. I hate to say it, but it does.
Yeah.
It does. It dumbs us down, because
It
we
does.
don't have to be. We don't have to research. We just post.
We just post.
Right.
Opinions.
Grammatic.
You don't even have to
errors.
spell it right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It don't got to
know what
make
you mean,
sense.
And no, just.
And I'm sure you're gonna get people that agree with you, and you're gonna get people that disagree with you.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter what you put.
It dumbed dumbed us down. It really did. And so, with that being said, make sure that you do your research. But thank y'all.
I appreciate you coming through,
Thank
Miss
you.
Kitty Lundan.
Thank you.
Make sure you guys check out the People of Power and What's Poppin' PBC,
Yes.
and any other new projects you got
And
going
if you
on.
are on Amazon, I'm going to say Amazon. It must be speaking my language.
There it
If
is.
you are on Instagram or Facebook, please follow me. I'll follow you back.
There it is.
I'm looking for new followers.
At
And
Kitty
I'm not
Lundan,
paying
right?
for followers, so
Yeah.
honey, I get them organically.
Yeah.
No shade. But people be like, I got 80,000. I'm like, how?
Yeah.
Because they're not hard. They're hard to
that.
get.
Yeah. Facts.
I mean,
Facts.
legitimate followers.
Legitimate follers that actually
Ain't
yeah,
easy to get.
yeah.
You got to actually beg people. Be like, can you follow me?
Can you
Follow me.
Yeah, yeah. Speaking of which, you got your phone?
Yes.
You go ahead and subscribe to my YouTube real quick,
Did I do that?
just in case. I don't know if you did, but hey, I'm a
Okay.
make it speak it into existence.
Wait a minute. So what did
KVLmedia. And if you're watching this live right now and you haven't already, follow Miss Kitty Lundan. I'm getting a celebrity to follow me on YouTube right now, guys. So
Who is
KVLmedia. You? What you mean?
Oh, right there. There you are. No. Okay.
Hey, yo, what up? It's Kevin Lawson. We are here.
Hold on. This is when you have
we
technical
go.
problems. Oh, I see us. Isn't that interesting?
There we go. We on live.
Oh, yeah. Hold on. Thank you.
There we go. I got another follower, y'all.
Yeah, so please, y'all,
So-
follow me. I'll follow you back. Kitty
Yes, ma'am.
Lundan, KITTYLUNDAN. Please follow me on Instagram. Again, I'm trying to get more. But it's funny how it works, because even with Facebook, I didn't realize how many people view me. I'm like, that's crazy. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't realize that. But it's real. It's real. Like,
Yeah.
and I'm not paying. I'm not getting see.
Oh, wow. In the last 28 days?
Yeah, and I'm not getting a
Sheesh.
I'm not getting a payout, because they asked some crazy questions, and I know people are like, you didn't get paid for that. I'm like, listen, it was some. I'm like, okay, y'all want to know too much, and I'm like,
Oh, Facebook want to know too much.
Yeah, and I was like, they wanted my phone to be with my business. I'm like, my phone is my personal name. It's not my business name. So
Yeah.
they're like, can you send a bill? And I'm like, wait a minute now. This is too much. And I get it. I may be missing out on money, but I
You
was saying,
better-
all money ain't good money, and God
What?
got me. But you see that's my dashboard.
You better, hey, jump in her DM, let her know she better get that money, because those numbers are not small. Her views, she doing numbers. So let her know. Sign up.
I just was like,
That's the last 28 days. Sign up ASAP.
and it's funny because it doesn't even represent. So it's like a lot of people will look at you and you don't really even realize it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So okay.
But yo,
Thank you.
appreciate you coming through. All right, y'all. That was the Art of Storytelling, Miss Kitty Lundan. Until next time, y'all. Peace.